We continue here at the P2P Macher with part 3 of the P2P Dash series. Today we will focus on transactions and we will export transaction data from a few platforms and then import those files into P2P Dash. Before we dive in, a short update. In the meantime, 4 additional platforms have been added: Timeless Investment, A-Note Music, Stock Estate and the older platform Stick Credit, which has since been replaced by Afranga. In addition, portfolios have been introduced, allowing you to copy platforms into portfolio structures. We will most likely cover that feature in a later episode as well. Before we jump in properly, please allow us to ask you for a subscription and a like. And this helps us continue producing these videos, which take a considerable amount of time. And if you would like to support us financially, feel free to use our affiliate links. This does not cost you anything and even provides a bit of cashback for you. Now let's really get started. P2P Dash requires your transaction file to import data. Not a PDF summary, but a complete list of every single transaction that occurred on your platform. To understand which transactions are typical, we can take a look at the manual booking options provided by P2P Dash. Let's start with deposits. A platform is initially funded with money, which is then invested through an investment transaction. After that, interest should ideally accrue. If you used an affiliate link such as ours or participated in a campaign, you may also receive a bonus payment, which is another transaction. At the end of the loan term, the loan is repaid and you have free capital again, which you can withdraw. There are also some less pleasant transactions, namely fees. The most common examples are transfer fees, withdrawal fees, auto-invest fees and secondary market fees. Some platforms also apply withholding tax on profits. A default loss is probably the transaction nobody wants, but it definitely occurs in the P2P environment. Sometimes one is simply relieved when a platform finally closes such a case. While this all sounds clear and structured, there are significant differences between platforms, especially in transaction naming. Bonuses are often split into cashback and bonus payments. Macher, for example, does not book bonuses as bonuses at all, but simply as investments. There are also correction bookings that are not immediately visible. Before diving deeper into these differences, let's move into practice with a few concrete examples. We will visit 4 different platforms and export their transaction histories. We start with Bondora, then move on to Loanch, which has only recently introduced export functionality, continue with Nectaro because of taxation, and finish with Ventus Energy. This selection is not random. Each platform highlights specific characteristics. Of course, there are valid reasons to examine other platforms as well, but these are particularly interesting for my own portfolio. One important rule applies to all platforms. If you are importing data for the first time and have not previously updated your figures, you must start from the earliest possible date, namely the date of your first deposit. Consistency is crucial. Gaps or missing transactions will lead to discrepancies between the platform and P2P Dash. Let's begin with Bondora. Many P2P investors, myself included, probably started here. We focus on the Go and Grow product. After logging in, you can generate the transaction file under Account Statements. Choose a date before you even started on the platform, just to be safe. If you do not know the exact date, simply select a much earlier one, for example 1 or 2 years prior. Before clicking Download, make sure to select Excel, because as already said before, PDFs will not work with P2P Dash. Then click Download, and the file will be downloaded once it is generated. After logging into P2P Dash, we go to Platforms, add a new platform, select Bondora, indicate that we are importing data for the first time, and select the downloaded Excel file. You can simply drag and drop it. There's always a short validation step first. If everything looks fine and we completed the test successfully, We proceed by clicking Import one file. Sometimes Bondora provides multiple files. Of course, P2P Dash can import these all together at the same time. Once the import is complete, we see Import Successful, or an error message with some further information if something went wrong. In our case with Bondora, everything worked without any issues and we can proceed. Now we should always perform a cross-check to ensure the numbers match between the platform and P2P Dash. That is precisely why I chose Bondora as an example. We see a small difference, which I want to explain. While here P2P Dash displays 39 cents, Bondora shows us 46 cents, which is of course a difference of 7 cents. This happens because Bondora does not export all decimal places and P2P Dash cannot reconcile the rounding. If a cent occurs at Bondora due to rounding, that cent is not added as a transaction and therefore this is missing for P2P Dash. If you like, you can correct this with a manual booking and book those missing 7 cents. Another issue are withdrawal fees, which are also not correctly booked by Bondora. Platform-specific notes, such as this one, can always be found in the platform overview in P2P Dash. Let's move on to our next example, Loanch. First we log in and then again go to the Statement tab. A new feature introduced around Christmas allows generating a transaction export directly from the transaction list. There we can select a date, which is a little bit cumbersome, as you cannot directly choose month or year and must navigate using forward and backward buttons. Likewise, we select an early date way ahead before we started, January 1st, 2021, and the current date as the end date. Then we click Download and then the transaction file will be generated. Back in P2P Dash, we go to the platforms. We add a new platform and of course select Loanch. And again, choose to import new data. There we can drag the file into the box, but again the file name is unfortunately very generic, just like with Bondora and many other platforms. Usually something like transaction statement with a date range. Platforms rarely include their own name in the file name, which makes organization difficult if you manage many platforms and download files regularly on the same date like the first day of the month. Furthermore, the transaction files of the white label solution platforms all share the same name. We take the file and drag it into the box. Let it then be analyzed. And if this happened, we can import the data. We can see that the import is successful and we then open the platform view. Again, we will perform a cross-check. We can see 22,480 euros and 3 cents here at P2P Dash. And at Loanch, the same amount appears on the dashboard, which means we are correct by the cent. Furthermore, we can verify this by examining the amount of profit and rewards. The profit shows 6,521 euros and 52 cents. When we jump over to P2P Dash, we can see here, by the interest, we too have 6,521 euros and 52 cents. And the bonus amount of 312 euros and 35 cents matches by the cent on both sides. This makes Loanch a very straightforward example, especially regarding the bonus handling I wanted to show you. Next, let's take a look at Nectaro. After logging in, we go to the statement. In the past, to track your records with the portfolio tracker portfolio performance, you had to switch here between interest, the taxation on those interests, rewards, and the taxation on the rewards, and write down each value separately to track the performance. P2P Dash now simplifies this significantly. We again choose an early date. By clicking here, we can directly select a year, and it is predefined that we started back in the year of 2023, which is very convenient. I'll again take the January as first date and choose today as the end date. After that, we only have to click on the export icon and download the XLSX file. Back in P2P Dash, we add a new platform, select Nectaro, and again say import new data. And to our surprise, we can see that Nectaro is one of the few platforms that includes its name in the export file name, which is excellent for organization, what we stated earlier. We drag the file, let it be analyzed, and if everything is correct, we can import it. Again, this was successful, and we can start to examine the platform data. We have 40,819 euros at Nectaro, and if we take a look back at the Nectaro dashboard, we can see the same amount as total value. Now we can analyze more details back at P2P Dash. For example, we have 277 euros and 79 cents in cash, 40,541 euros currently invested. We can also see interests and bonuses, and 218 euros and 74 cents in taxes. The sum of the taxes apply to both interest and bonuses, and to show this is the reason why I choose Nectaro as an example. Finally, let's take a look at Ventus Energy. Same here, located at the statement page, we can download the export file. However, here there are two export options: wallet transactions and the portfolio summary. We will download the wallet transaction file, and conveniently the maximum date range is already set up. And using the download button, we have the option to download it as Excel or CSV file. In P2P Dash, we can import the not well named file, and the values appear to match at first glance. However, the devil is in the details. The loyalty bonus, as shown in the portfolio summary, is not listed separately in the wallet transactions, but already summed up with a regular interest. The affiliate cashback is also not shown as a separate bonus transaction, although it can be seen in the portfolio summary. Back at P2P Dash. As a result, P2P Dash is unable to distinguish these bonuses as they are only interest transactions and thus do not count towards bonuses. This distorts the internal rate of return, which can be observed at the dashboard. With my projects yielding around 18% and deactivated compound, we should see this rate reflected for internal rate of return without bonuses, but sadly, with the mixed-in bonuses, this rate is at 20%. Today we saw how to download and import transaction files from 4 different platforms into P2P Dash, and where differences can occur. Next time we will take a closer look at what insights and analysis can be derived from this data. To wrap up, please leave us a like and subscription, explore our channel for more P2P related videos, or join our Telegram community. Until the next part, your P2P Macher, Alex and Aurum.